Hey everyone, we're back with the next episode of the Summoner Scuffle, and today is going to be the very first debut of deck building on the Summoner Scuffle, where we're going to have Jexik face off with Snalg with multiple deck builds. And I'm joined here. Fuzzy couldn't make it today, so I have level 3 CPU.
Hey everybody.
And so deck building, we have a bit more time at the start than we normally do, and you can of course skip ahead in the video to the games if you want to. But we figured we'd talk about deck building and just how it works and why do it and what's fun about it. Just everything deck building. Some time to talk about it. So I'm just going to start with how deck building works in Summoner Wars. So Summoner Wars, that you have all these preset decks you can buy, and the preset decks themselves are great. They're balanced. Most people stay in preset uh, for the most, or I don't know. Preset decks are are the most is the most popular format to play Summoner Wars. I don't know. They're very well balanced. It's just fun to play that way. And like personally, I find deck building overwhelming, and so it was very easy to pick up Summoner Wars just starting with preset decks and not needing to build a deck, just grab a deck and go and play the game. But after I played more, I got more comfortable with the idea of deck building. I sort of think of it as almost its own separate thing that is also fun. I think base decks are my favorite. Some people prefer deck building.
It's
I think
important
like
to
they're both
mention
fun.
that sorry Ben. I
Yeah.
think it's just important to mention that all of the decks are balanced in playtesting against base decks. So deck building is kind of a wild frontier of like lots of stuff just gets in because I'm a playtester. As playtesters, you consider deck building, but we don't playtest deck building. So it is absolutely a crazy field. Well, starting with base decks is definitely a better call overall.
Yeah. And yet, I don't know the best sell for deck building that I can have other than I have tons of fun playing deck building. And I think something we can talk about is like, I don't know, it can be fun just to approach like, oh, I have this one idea, this one card I want to build around. Then Summoner Wars has a very easy interface to just build your own deck with. But before we get into that, just talking about how deck building works on a fundamental level. So we have these base decks, and then every card in a base deck will have different deck building symbols on it. So we see Takulu has two deck building symbols. That's Resolve and Wind, I think. And we see every card in her deck either has the Wind symbol or the Resolve symbol in her base deck. And so when you deck build, you can only deck build in cards with those symbols. And so if we go to this handy little Plaid Hat article, we can see these are all the symbols, and they're displayed on the summoner. Each summoner has two, and so every time there's a new summoner, you can deck build in and out certain things. And then various other diagrams there. What I sort of love about, I mean, these symbols sort of double as like allowing deck building to happen and also just being like the thematic grounding for each faction. I mean, like for instance, with Stakula, we got like wind and movement, and then we have resolve, which is kind of control, and so she's the master of movement. She's controlling the enemy's movement. She's controlling her own position on the board, and maybe we should go through every single symbol and what it represents. I don't know what you think, but there's similar.
Yeah, we can
Just
we can hop into that.
okay. Sounds sounds good. You wanna rattle a few off?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm looking here just at like the deck building screen right now. So you talked
Yeah.
about resolve being the kind of control-y element. I think you can go back to the Plaid Hat article. So let's just start from light, right? Um, so light is kind of this like effects off of the board. It kind of deals like with zones in terms of like either your discard or the event space or like auras. It's like another or stuff like that. That's kind of where light kind of lands up. Where like cunning ends up being these like really tricky units. Like a lot, there's going to be a lot of overlap. You're going to see like cunning and air kind of being like movement, and well, movement can be tricky, right? But cunning more focuses on that like surprise little like trick shot element. But in the game, movement's very tricky, right? Um, Earth being growth is the simplest, I think, because it just kind of cares about one of the core mechanics, boost, and fostering boost growth, either making growth engines or like having good growth, having good boost payoffs. You want to hop on for a few?
Spirit, harmony, I think of it as the symbol of synergy. So just units that uh, combo with each other or just do other things to help each other be powerful. Instinct, I think of it as the symbol of risk taking. So get in there, take some risks. It's either gonna just go tremendously well or blow up in your face and you lose. Water, I think of it as the symbol of high health units.
Water's a
I know
weird
it's more
one.
than that. Yeah, I think I've heard Colby say that it's sort of starting to it's represented at least with swamp orcs like champions,
Hmm.
which I guess themselves are like high health units, but big beefy boys, I guess.
Yeah, Champ Focus is like a new one, but it's definitely like a they're absolutely thinking of it going forward. And I think that's really cool. It's fun to have like Champ Focus factions and like a home for those, I think.
Yeah.
Moving on, we
Well,
got Dark. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, maybe just to pause for a second, so we're not just like rattling off random stuff. We could just like point at a few summoners and how they represent even what they have, what we've done so far. So if we have like growth and spirit, we then so those two symbols give us a faction. Those give us Abuashi, and Abuashi, how that is manifest is we our units sort of synergize in order to grow. And so that's pretty simple. And then some random other symbols like we have water
Absolutely,
and daring. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's a great one to start with, like Savannah Elves, because like we talked about how growth is like this accumulation of boost, and Savannah Elves do pass the ball the best. Like they like move the boost around. That's like their thing. Where if we then immediately go to like growth and water in the Swamp Works, right? It's now not so much this sharing of boost, but this like funneling of boost to like one super unit, your Summoner Muglug, right? They don't really have a good way of like splitting that boost up. They all want boost, but they don't share it. But they have to come together to use it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I mean, you already sort of get the sense here like that. I like that you can sort of know or just predict what to expect with a deck just from the symbols when you get to know them. And I don't know, that that resonates pretty well with me. But we can finish up here. We have Dark Sacrifice. This is the unit or this is the symbol of killing your own things to do cool things.
Yeah.
Um, it's my favorite symbol. I'll just throw that out there right now. I know Jexik it's his least favorite symbol, so we'll have some interesting discussions later on. Um, you want to do a few more? How would you say resolve? What would you say for that?
Resolve is control. It's about like so we see a lot of resolve units either limit movement or limit like damage you can do. It's all about like these effects that make your opponent's life miserable in some way or another. Not miserable, but you have to like resolve is the symbol of you have to physically play around it. You're playing around everything in this game, but like these are cards that like say you play around me.
Yeah, yeah, and limiting. I mean, limiting your opponent's options.
Yeah. Hmm.
Air
Mobility in
mode.
air is pretty
Yeah,
simple. I think these cards go fast, and that's great. It's honest. It's great to have a go fast symbol.
yeah, and in a fair and predictable way, like Rust Rider, it's just gonna charge forward 4 spaces. That's awesome. We got divine preservation, so protecting things. I guess that's is it usually your
Healing, like either
summoner?
getting rid of wounds or stopping wounds from being placed or protection in general. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. um, And we got like Moldaria for that. We got Sarah for that with Citadel Knights Protect. We
All
got
the blonde summoners.
Logic. You explain Logic. That's my least favorite symbol.
Yeah, I mean, like, in one sense, logic is structures. In the bigger sense, I think logic is modular. I think that, like, all of the units in logic decks, in a similar way to Spirit, are building to something. Like, they're very, like, dependent. And then the payoff is when it's like when you combine those elements in interesting ways, is the payoff for logic.
Interesting. See, I just think about it as a symbol of like tech and upgrades. I just think like moto boots and like
Sure.
turret upgrade.
Yeah.
I don't. But your explanation sounds a lot cooler. And then finally, fire. We just explode. We just direct damage. And I think, I mean, I've
Dice
heard people
suck.
dice suck. I've heard people say more other things like going fast. Like there's a lot of fire, like where you summon units in unexpected places and momentum. I'm not sure exactly how to describe it.
Well,
But
Ember has kind of evolved to be its own thing, but we can talk about that. I mean, it's part of deck building, but like we can talk about that another time too.
yeah, and so we've talked
I
about the
think we should
Discord,
move it.
and yeah, and I can't I can't do it justice. Yeah, I'll move on. But there's a few just thematic ways these symbols come together that are just like really quite beautiful. Like with the shadow elves being light and dark, and then lifting up units from the board being the expression of light that is stuff outside of the board. I don't, that's my favorite example. But the way they come together, I always love it. Let's move on. So those are all the symbols. Um, and then so when you're crafting a deck, you choose a summoner. The summoner, like the cloaks would say, you can use cunning and logic, and then you can use any cards from any decks that have a cunning or logic symbol. So you see, at this point, since we've had 3 waves of summoners out, we have a lot of options. Hypothetically, with all these different combinations, there could be 66 summoners. Right now we're at 20.
20.
So we'll see.
We'll get there.
We'll see. I mean, 3 waves already. I think this is like just a great time for deck building. Like there's tons of different decks, and since it's kind of new, a lot of the possibilities like haven't been explored. So yeah, I guess really quickly I just like do a nod to Summoner Warzone. We have some good articles about deck building up here. I particularly would recommend well, one Jexik article about cards to look out for in Summoner Wars deck building, just like some quick and dirty, and then, but in particular, the article about Welcome to the Jungle of Deck Building that sort of goes over the process of building a deck. I won't go through it here, but this is actually one of the decks that Jexik has brought today. Is this Polar Dwarves one punch orc deck, or no, now he calls it Axe and Isley, where he goes through his process in this article, but he says, he starts with one card that seems interesting to him, like Vine Gate. And he's like, okay, what can that combo with? Well, some units out that come out of it with boosts on it. And what can that combo with? Oh, that can combo with Smashers. And then there's one edition of the deck, and it's like, it's not quite working. And then we change it up by adding some extra movement, and then we have a deck. And it's not necessarily the most competitive deck. I don't think it can. I think it loses to a lot of the crazy stuff out there, but in my opinion, deck building doesn't need to be about breaking the game as much as possible. It can be about, oh, here's a fun card. I want to build this towards whatever is fun for me. And I think that, I don't know, just personal take, like I think that can really be the fun of deck building, is just like refining a deck that really fits you. Like I like all of like crazy value nonsense, and so I've hyper fixated on blood summon, and yeah, now
We need more
now
time to talk
level
about that.
three's talking about how we should be banning blood summon, and I don't disagree with it. But like everyone's personality will be expressed in a slightly different deck, and so you don't need to approach deck building with how do I get the craziest, most broken stuff. Let's just be like, oh, here's a card that's fun. How do I build around that? But with that, maybe we can go into like what people are doing with deck building right now. And you prepared some neat little slides.
I
That
did.
maybe,
Jexis's articles are amazing. When looking
yeah.
at them, I was reminded of some advice that Arda Breeze had said a long time ago when deck building was only Phoenix Elves and Tundra Orcs, so like there was no deck building possible, right? Where he
Yeah.
theorized that deck building would kind of be this cross of there you have two routes. Where the first route, where he thought it would be the real thing, was be like you make the best version of a summoner that you want to see, right? And I think that's fair. I think that's good. But I think that recently we've seen an explosion of insane combos, which is the second type of deck. Just like you have a combo in it that's so good it can carry the deck because it's insane. Um, and I think that as you were saying just a second ago about like the different like kind of tiers, let's say, of like deck, right? I think we luckily have a community where we can foster all of that. I mean, we have this big tournament where people are bringing the heat, one deck to rule them all, but also we're running garbage gladiator all the time, like right. Part of the fun is figuring out what the worst possible deck builds could be, which is pretty neat. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, so
so yes,
even if we start talking about like what the meta is and what are the crazy broken combos, like some of my favorite things to do with deck building is to like I found a fun Conqueso build that it's probably not super competitive, but like I can get it pretty good, and I don't know. So fun is important. But with that,
yes,
go ahead with the crazy meta stuff.
absolutely. Well, so this is actually like the we'll start on this slide. It's good. I threw this slide in because one of the things to think about that we're going to talk about is like combos that are just in faction symbols that I think are insane, right? But another fun thing to always take a second to look out for is fun combos that can only happen in one faction, right? Like Polar Dwarfs is the only place you'll be able to Ice Smith a Smasher, right? That's awesome. Like I think it exponentially, like I think it makes us like Smasher is likely to like 50% likely to hit for 6 of 6 for 6 damage, and like
Yeah.
100% of the time hits for 4 now because Frost Axe is broken.
And just
um,
to spell it, just in case, it's because Smashers are water and Ice Smiths are logic, and there's only one summoner that is ever going to be able to put those two cards in the same deck, and that is Farah.
exactly, and it's and a similar one that is one of my pet favorites is this Mind Witch Aerie Steward combo, giving your 1 mana 3 range witch worthy. Like you just put one steward down on the ground, and now you can just pop out 3 attack worthies all game. That's super fun. I think I like it a lot. Um, but let's talk about some absolute nuttiness. Can you go to the
Oh,
first slide?
oh, did I like start at the last slide? I sure did. Lol. Um,
It's all good. So the hot
yeah.
topic that I'm talking about in the dark build system, every dark deck, doesn't matter what the other pair is, as long as it is dark, can run Blood Summon Undead Warrior. If you've looked at any of Ben's games from this recent tournament, to put it essentially the gist, this lets your Undead Warrior, who normally has a problem getting anywhere, but can easily become a 7 melee AV champion, with Blood Summon in any other deck besides basic, even in base FK, this is a problem. The reach is insane. You're just gonna throw 7 melee dice wherever you want, and you can blood summon 2 of them, and then blood summon how it reads lets you kill your entire board if you want to. So it's really easy to get that boost on Undead Warrior. So I think some of the best decks are dark and running some variant of Blood Summon Undead Warrior. Snalg is running one of those decks today. We'll talk about it later. A new one that I think is like super cool is like all resolve all divine decks can run Arbiter of Peace and Transfuse. So most likely your units are going to survive because of tough, and then you can use Transfuse, which is essentially like so good. It heals, it damages, it probably gets you a magic. It finishes kills, which I think is a problem for like a lot of decks, but especially like protection decks. Like they like get close to killing, but they leave them at like 1 or 2. So Transfuse just pushes it over, and now your unit is back to full health. Man, what a nightmare. So I think
Yeah.
that these are like, and like you see this in like the High Elves decks and the Vanguard decks. Those are also really strong right now. But I think this is kind of one of the linchpins of that is these units being able to kind of be in the same space together.
Yeah. And Arbiter Peace, like insane. Like best common in the game, maybe getting there. Like, I don't know. People are starting to really talk it up.
I would have to think a lot more about it. I haven't thought about like best. in the game in a long time.
Yeah, I mean that's a ridiculous claim, but moving on.
Some other fun ones, like in Spirit, you can always throw Border Archer and Chant of Entangling in any deck, so it's likely you can have this Swift Shot character with whatever else you want to brew it with. Um, Shibata's deck in the Summoner, in the one deck to rule them all, he's running a variant of this, and man, Chant of Entangling is just a good card, but like Border Archer often pushes it over the top when you have enough boost. So I wanted to throw that in there. And like I said, the cool thing about these combos is they go in every deck. So every Unity deck will be able to run some variant of this.
Yeah.
Instinct, I really just wanted to talk about Brutal Force. Both Instinct and Water can run this card that lets you force summoners, which Ben and I have talked about before. But I think it's just dicey territory, and we'll definitely see more decks where it feels unfair. Currently, like the Cave Goblins deck, which I think also pushes close to the top tier, runs Brutal Force because you can Brutal Force and Enrage the Horde. But that's like a specific combo because Enrage the Horde is an epic event. That's another thing that we can talk about. That's like faction specific combos, cards that only combo with epic events. That's interesting to think about. Hellforge X goes in everything. Too strong. You should think about. You have at least have to think about, is rolling 2 more dice just worth it in this deck? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. But I wanted to throw it in there.
Yeah.
If we go to the next slide, an old great deck that I still think is just waiting for Profit to repunish us with it is Scav Pet, right? Where sand scavengers can fetch you back parapets, and you just spend the whole game hiding behind your infinite value, and you feel good about yourself. And I think a really great cunning comp. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it seems good. And Vox copying the
good.
scavengers. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, the cunning.
I just love Moto Boots and Dagger personally.
And I just hate you in general.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is actually a logic and cunning combo, so that's why it's on the same page, because it also just fits. Like you,
Oh
like
God,
if you just
it
want to
really
like,
is. Oh,
yeah,
disgusting.
it goes in so many decks, and if you have a single 0 cost that's viable to play, you gotta think. Like I feel like in deck building as a whole, 2 champs are really easy to figure out, and the 3rd champ is like, well, what can I do with that? So I feel like it always has to be a thought in cunning and logic deck builds.
And then,
I think we're really.
I guess that's all of
Go
them.
ahead.
No, I guess
Yeah.
that's all of them. I told the competitors maybe it will just be like 3 minutes late because I want to talk about a few decks that just exist in the sphere that use these real quick. So like we could start with yeah, so it'll just be a few minutes of this. Like we can start with Aaron's deck that he won the last deck building tournament with. Yeah, so with Aaron's decks, we were just talking about the combo with Brutal Force and Axe, and there it is. Somehow this deck, it just everything gets out there, and then you're also somehow competing for the late game with Baldo and Blarf. You put an Axe on like literally any unit, and then enrage the Horde, and it's just 8 damage, can just do anything to anything. Like it just comes out of nowhere, and you're dead. Um, anything to add about about this one real quick?
I think it's also a beautiful version of exactly what Arda Breeze said, where this is actually just like peak cave goblins made best by, like, this is like cave goblins wanted to throw themselves in your face and win because of it, and this is the best way to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah, and we can point out like which decks do something fundamentally different and which decks just make the base thing better. I think another example of base thing better is what Shampoo brought to the semifinals of last tournament, which is kind of just Sarah, but you put Sanctity in and also Arbiter of Peace, and like those 2 cards alone, I mean, Advisors are really good too. Like just changing those things, like Sarah suddenly just like shoots to like, oh my God, like I cannot beat you. Like I cannot ever get through any of your units. They're
This is
just quite
absolutely
insane.
what base VG wanted to be and was nowhere close to being.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's good. It lives in deck building, and that's great.
yeah. It's one of the few decks where I like, I would almost rather play this than base Sarah, which there's or like there's, I don't, yeah. It's hard to describe it, but there's no other deck that's like that. Um maybe similar Profits deck. I haven't really seen. I watched him do a few games. He took this to this tournament, and I kind of just put it up because he's Profit, and I guess I'm biased. Um, it just kind of looks like Valeria, but then also Mind Witches are insane. And we were playing around a little bit with this, but like a Mind Witch can copy an Arbiter of War from the back, and so you essentially just miss out on any of the possible downsides to Arbiters of War. Mind Witches are always going insane. It seems kind of
It's a
base
beautiful
Hiles.
thing.
It's
It's a
disgusting.
beautiful thing.
Deceivers are, in my opinion, the best unit in the game. I don't know. I throw that around. They're just really good. They negate a lot of damage in the right spot. They're really
He's just
mean.
giving you side eye for calling it the best unit in the game earlier, and now you're just right on Deceiver, but it's fine.
And moving on a little bit, did you want to chat about Ciabatta's
Show a
deck?
blood summon deck, you know.
I'll
I mean,
show a
we
blood
already
summon
talked
deck.
about it, but
All right, all right. So this, if I must, let me introduce you to Brynus. This deck is just all about ramming in a bunch of units that are really good to blood summon. You have Rhinos, which are a 2 magic 2/5, so you can blood summon on them 3 times. And then now you have Tome, so you can reclaim blood summons. So you have 4 blood summons, and Call Forth actually combos with blood summon really good as it happens. Yeah, this deck's been pretty fun the first round of the tourney. I kind of just beat up some idiots and whatnot, like just
I
demand
think
in
it
their
also
face for
benefits
14 days.
greatly from. I think that like I think it might currently be the best epic for a blood summon build. It does the most. It like you want your summoner protected, and you want an insane amount of bodies on the board, and your carrier endgame is something that I think that like a Shadow Elves build lacks. Like, but that's besides the point. So I think that it's definitely like a flavor of blood summon, but obviously it's not doing it's not making beasts, you know. It's not abusing, it's abusing boost, but I definitely think it sidesteps like what the initial model was.
Exactly, and then we can look at something more like Purse Warden's deck, which is what you would expect from a Fungal Dwarf's deck.
Yes.
It just kind of, you got Vine Mancers to do some crazy weird stuff. I guess he also runs Blood Summon. We got Vine Gates, which is just great for Cooldock to be able to advance. I haven't watched a ton
He
of
summons
games, but
monstrosity all the time.
every time, can you do multiple monstrosities? Holy crap, you totally could.
Oh, you can't. That's just anyway.
Anyway, moving on, and we should wrap it up. You no, you didn't bring Sundervid, but you thought about Sundervid. What do you think about Sundervid deck building?
Oh, I'm disgusted by the fact that I think a 2 mana 6/4 isn't enough in the format.
Yeah, that tells you a lot about how it's going right now.
I have high hopes, and lots of people did way better, really good with MV, Snaug being one of them. So we'll see. But like personally, I've kind of hit the wall of like, oh, this deck might not push it enough. But I think that I have a lot of building considerations to do.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. And you know, see about his decks here too. And anything interesting you've seen with that?
oh, it's incredible, actually. I think it's a Ciabatta. I gotta say, just hats off to you, brother. I like saw Savannah Elves and I like played around with it a little bit. And I'm like, this is like fine. Your deck is beautiful. Your deck is sophisticated, and like Vine Gates are like Vine Gate hits every single unit in the deck. And like that's insane. Adventurers get wherever they need to be, and it's just it's awesome. It's an awesome deck. You should definitely play it. Everyone should play it, and soon.
Interesting. Very excited about it. Okay, I'm gonna give the competitors the go ahead, and maybe we can talk about these first
Do
two
you want to
decks that we're
throw up
doing.
my slot, or it doesn't matter, whichever you want to do.
Which slide
The
do you want?
first slide is the matchup, is the Tundra Orc
Oh,
Shadow
yeah,
Elves matchup.
yeah, yeah. Yes, it looks a little bit. No, this is great.
Stretched out.
This is it's not quite fitting on the screen.
Oh yeah, it doesn't fit on the
Maybe
screen.
so sad, so sad. Maybe let's start. I guess this doesn't fit on the screen either. We start with Tundra Orcs. This is the Brub deck. How would you describe it?
Yeah. So I think it does unfair reroll shenanigans is the whole point, right? You're running 3 Oathsworn, which give Grog more influence than he ever should have been able to have, and you try to do that on a Floor Glory turn, so you can just get incredible, and then you can have Brub mow down an entire line of your opponent. Like, and it's or if that doesn't work out, you throw an axe on a warrior, and warrior throws 4 dice all day. It's a beautiful combination. Did he change Brutal Force back?
Yeah, he put
I feel
Brutal Force
like.
back because it's good. He took it out
Oh
for
no, I'm
attorney.
sorry. No. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is right.
Um,
Yeah, it's a beautiful deck.
and Brub can really mess up your stuff. Like the fact that like I don't think Brub is overpowered definitely tells you something about the format because like he like on average you have 4 boosts on Grognak, which is really pretty easy to get with Willpower and Oathsworn. Like 4 boosts on Grognak, I think averages 10 damage with Brub, like which
Let
is
me
just
double check the math on Summoner Wisdom
wild
while
to
you
think
keep
about it.
talking.
Yeah, like just totally prove me right or wrong there, but he can do a lot of damage and really quick. And then you got just a lot of other basic Grognak tricks. I love that. Like if I did this deck, I would do sort of a passive like Frost Shaman thing, but Jexik goes right in there with fighters. They put on axes, and then you also have 4 glory. So you have a fighter hitting for 6 and then doing rerolls. Um, and I think that's the deck in a nutshell. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we keep going. And let me grab this game link.
Like the highest HP summoner in the game is 14 health, right? A Brub with 5 boost on Grognak kills a 14 health summoner from dirt 35% of the time.
Say that one more time.
The highest health summoner in the game is 14 health, right?
Yes.
If you have 5 boost on Grognak to influence Brub, he will kill a full health summoner 35% of the time.
All right. I'll take that. I'll take that. And you can see some like a lot of people will get mad, and the game link's in the chat, so you can go ahead and click on that. And it's probably better if you're watching through the game link instead of the stream because there's a delay. Good stuff. We even had a turn. I somehow like missed that. So what's happening that first turn? I think I didn't hear sound, so I didn't notice anything. Some seekers moving up. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about Snalg's deck here. But Shadow Elves have a lot of shenanigans and a lot of different things they can potentially run.
Yeah, as a quick piecemeal for everybody, Snalg has a bunch of draw and then the blood summon combo that we were talking about. So I think that this deck is literally Jexik needs to win before Snalg draws his entire deck.
Which is
because
fun.
I think once, yeah, it's very fun actually. I think that like Tundra Orcs has the firepower to do it, but it will come down to probably some clutch unit positioning and a little bit of luck.
And so how does that combo work exactly? Or just like it's slipping in doing my homework. So we'd get a bunch of units in our hand and then we blood summon them and then we kill you? Does that summarize it?
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, if you have 2 warriors and then 5 other units from anywhere, you can pretty much get 14 dice on whatever target you want, right? At a minimum. Because Blood Summon lets you kill off all the rest. But I think we can really see the potential for Snaug to have a 8+ card hand and Blood Summon an entire field of units, which would be truly something special.
I'm really just excited to talk after the game about Shadow Elves because didn't get a chance to pull it up on stream there, but like there's so many cards that Shadow Elves can run and they're all insane. And so I just have no idea what the best ones are. Like it almost has the problem that just too many of your options are really good. They can run Demand, they can run Glinting Speed, they can run Blood Summon, they can run Renewed Hope, they can run Guarding Spirits. Like just any event you can think of, and it's there.
Yeah. If you've seen me in deck building queue recently, well, I'm kind of sorry. I'm currently like 5-0 with my current build right now. Ben, you saw it on stream a couple of nights ago.
Oh god, that's the one where you just put 5 boosts on Katu like in the mid game with a
as soon as you
shaman.
summon him, which is the mid game.
That was pretty
but
disgusting.
It's tweaked.
I kind of hated that.
Yeah, it's tweaked further now. To essentially lean into the blood summon more, but we can talk about that later. Oh, we got Brub. Okay.
We get Brub
like
already.
I mean, honestly, the game could be over right here.
It could be, and the thing about Brub is that like it is high variance, and sometimes the game is over here. Sometimes Brub does no damage here, and sometimes Brub, like I've played a few in-person games with Jexik because we live close to each other, and just like there's just been a few where it's like
Oh,
two boosts, and
really?
it's like you just did 14 damage. Yeah, it's
That's
been
cool.
Brub in person is a lot of fun. Yeah, we just happened to figure
No
that out.
willpower. So this is going to be harder. He essentially only has 3 rerolls.
But I like it.
And he's
Brub
ready
only
to use
being
them.
attacked from one side. Brub is a lot of fun. I I just have fun. I mean, the variance isn't everyone's cup of tea. If this game ends right now, I all right, there we go.
That's the
Easy.
fairest you'll see.
Yeah, I mean that killed the unit, but I mean even that you just killed that whole unit there.
Even still, it's going to be hard for Snaug to clear Brub this turn. We know he has another Sworn in hand. He accidentally played it, and if he has a great gate positioning. So I mean, we're going to see another huge Brub turn next turn, most likely. Snaug has got to be thinking about that. He's got to be thinking, is there any way I kill Brub right here?
That'd be so like so what sort of dynamic is this? Is this Grognak needs to kill Cylinder before Cylinder has way too many cards in hand? Like you said, can Grog sort of win a late game by like turtling with Brub? Like what sort of dynamic, like who has the upper hand in which ways in this matchup, you think?
Uh, yeah, I think Jexik has to pull it off in the early game. I think that's the only way that we're seeing him win because at like Snaug's deck is built to have just such a incredibly large hand that you just can do whatever you want on one turn. And maybe Grognak survives that. He has the most health in the game. That's a point in his favor. Um, but I don't think there's a long game for Jexik here at all.
I mean, and that will just play to Jexik's strengths. Pretty much every game I've played against Jexik, like he is just very comfortable taking risks. He's sort of the ultimate primal player in my mind. Like he will just send it up to you, and if it catches you off guard, you are dead because he is just fine putting Grognak in the middle of wherever to get that primal fury off or whatever.
Oh, this is actually also just absolutely beautiful positioning by Snaug. He purposely made it so that Jexik couldn't summon an Oathsworn and be able to have it hit anything. So there was no risk of big influence for Brup this turn.
Oh, interesting. There's oh
Because Oathsworn has to attack a unit, it's not an enemy card.
so something else about Oathsworn is combos with brutal force. Sorry, it combos with four glory, um, pretty insanely. They can suddenly be rolling 5 dice, and the amount of specials you can get with 5 dice is a heck of a lot more. Though notably, if it kills itself with that four glory, because it's an after attack ability, it gets nothing. Um, so again, just you have to be comfortable with that level of
No, that's
variance.
not true.
It is true.
I think you totally get to apply the boost.
Uh,
Don't you?
you are wrong. That's all I know. I can't pull up the card right here. I think Oathsworn says like after this unit attacks or something. And for glory says when this unit attacks, apply the same number of damage, and so the when takes precedence before. So if it kills itself.
Yeah, you're right.
And if Brub goes down here,
At
that's
max, he would only miss out on one boost in that case scenario, but that's fine.
yeah. Um, that'll oop, that'll
Wait, what
that'll do it for you.
happened?
Snog attacked Brub and rolled a 1 out of 5 per cylinder. Getting Brub down here would just be insane. Like it's just out of the game. Don't need to worry about that threat anymore. Not anymore. Gonna warn Cylinder to the side. Another, I sort of don't mind deck like Shadow Elves being this mystery is like what's going on with Snalg's deck because like just Shadow Elves in general, what's going on? Well, one of the things that's going on is Maldar. Maldar is absolutely insane in Shadow Elves. Just like even if you're just playing base decks and you just exchange Maldar for one champion, that is the single like most busted, maybe the single most busted thing you could like do in the game. Period. That's a hot take, but Maldar just gets 3 boosts on cylinder every turn, 2 from corrupt, 1 from damaging itself, and that just you just have infinite boosts, and that's
This
insane.
is the turn.
You
This is
believe
the.
you think we're ripping through the 10 health gate, the 8 health
I
gate?
think we're absolutely punishing the 10
Yeah,
health
we
gate.
are. Oh my
It's the
goodness.
willpower turn. It's the for glory willpower turn.
If we've got it, that is insane. If we've got it, this could be so over right now. Nope.
Oh no, for glory.
But Jexik still willing to go for it.
I wanted to mention real quick that I forgot. I mean, it's not entirely over if Brub is gone because I do think that Tundra Fighter with a Hellforged axe also really
Yes.
good contender for just a game ender.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's what Brub will do for you sometimes. I mean, and like
You
with a
do
for
you do need a
glory,
lot of setup.
yeah, yeah. It's looking
He's so confident that Mage is gonna do it. What this is so funny.
I mean, what's the worst that could happen if the mage misses?
Brub gets another turn. You're that worried about the gate spot?
I think that's playing around Brub, playing around what you just mentioned. All right, Brub's getting another turn.
Snalg knows that the people want to see Brub, and he's giving us Brub. He's like, no, let yourself do the combo again.
I mean, I don't know if he had a better option to attack Brub with. Like, Brub was only exposed on one side there. Come on, the people want Brub. Let's see something. Let's see something nuts. See if Brub falls on his face yet again. By the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the stream, I am sick, so I apologize for any low energy, any weird voice. I'm doing my best here. But
The real
have...
YOLO play here was to move Brub to the side and clear through 12 health of gates with no rerolls at all.
That would be
I wanted to
insane.
see it.
You couldn't get through. It's 4 spaces away by the last one, right? Oh, I guess the
No, Grog would have had to stay there and
see.
attack it, but
Just the 2. Yeah. I guess, I mean, the Slinger dealt with it, so we take that. All right,
Brub
let's
will
kill
kill
this
this mage for sure. I believe in Brub all the way. And click. Yep. It's just don't roll a 1 or a 2. It's a 6-sided dice. 1 and 2 are bad for you. Just don't roll it.
It's so satisfying.
Ugh.
Skill issue. Well, when I first played a lot of in-person Summoner Wars, like sometimes just when the opponent was taking their turn, me and my friends would just roll a dice on the side to see like the highest Brub we could just get. And we didn't even have Brub, we had just like seen it.
Is the gate going down?
It could. Like it
No.
Brub can go insane. Yeah. Just a legend over here.
I was really hoping to see like a 8 AV OV out of this deck. I think that is decreasing with time.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a meme at this point. Snaug is memeing on it. Oh, never mind. Why would I ever say that? Why would I ever doubt?
Could be a lot of dice on cylinder next turn though. Just thinking about, I don't know. Like Jexik will not hesitate to go for an axe just coming right down the center row. Like a fighter with an axe that attacks Maldar and then shifts to the side, attacks cylinder. Like,
yeah, he's not afraid to brutal forfeit his own units either.
yeah,
That's
I
in the
forget you can
toolbox.
do that. Isn't that insane? Like what?
Tio needs it.
there's like there's crazy combos with like Brub too. I saw in a few games. I know some people aren't a fan with it, but like because Chain Shot is after attack and Brutal Force is also after an attack, you can just like store up Brutal Forces after attacking your own units and then just shove it across the entire board in one fell swoop. It's a lot of fun.
Cell's not dead, but he could take 9 damage this turn.
Don't worry, Frost Shaman will always deliver
that's
on
the
disappointment.
worst scenario. I don't think it gets worse than that. Oh, it gets worse.
It sure does. So Cylinder's got 10 boosts. What are we gonna do with those?
Let me look at the deck. He does not run any shamans, so he can't move them anywhere. He has to use them on Cell.
So likely just using it for general Shadow Elves things, like value popping units back to hand for the most part, you think?
Yeah, I think he's just gonna summon and recall Black Saber every turn for the rest of the game.
Which is pretty insane. I mean, what do you do about that? Constantly recycle Maldar. I see in the chat. Yup. Maldar, you drop him to 1 HP, then you pop him back into your hand. It's funny not. I feel like when I was running Shadow Elves, I ended up running like one shaman. I literally just put one shaman in there, like just in case I wanted it to like put all those boosts on a warrior or something. It is a little bit silly.
Oh, we're toming.
Gonna get some
Maldar is 100% returning
to
to hand this turn after the move phase boost.
Oh yeah.
I think we might see a 14 AV from one warrior and demand on Grognak. I think Snalg runs one demand, and I think it's here. I think we're seeing it. He gets a Shadow Mage. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what makes sense in the world.
Yeah, that's not what I expected either. I mean, not even like a Call Forth or something, just a Shadow Mage.
There's the Call Forth.
There we have. You could Call Forth and then Onyx Tome Call Forth. That is one of those hee hee ha ha things you can do.
Oh yeah, I think Snalg literally misplayed. Because like, why not get 4 units?
Is that straight? Well, more damage to Summoner? Yeah, skill issue. I mean, it's a new combo, and well, one thing, I mean, we didn't really introduce either of these players properly, but they're both very good at Blitz. Wow,
very good
at this turn. Like they both.
That's what I'm saying.
I will go 30 minutes down my clock, and they will be at like 5 minutes down their clock. They can play very fast, very comfortably, which is
I totally
tough.
Called warrior demand turn, but we're gonna see.
We're gonna see. I mean, how do you get so many boosts on that warrior?
I think he's gonna use Maldar. He should abuse Blood Summon, but he might not. He
just see. This is something you just have so.
He is abusing Blood Summon.
Good. Gonna keep abusing Blood Summon.
No, he doesn't have any more units. If he would have Call Forth, and if he would have tomed his Call Forth, he would have at least had one more boost on warrior.
I think Tome can. What the hell? See, this is. I'm so happy to be here. Don't you get more boosts for like? Huh, interesting. Do we run Glinting Speed in this deck? I don't think we do.
No, we don't.
Oh, we demand and then we shoot. Yeah.
So he would have threw 2 more melee dice with Call Forth play, like proper Call Forth play. Let's just remember that, you know.
Yeah.
And that would have been the 2 more melee dice. So
we can bring that up later to look really cool.
Anyone anyway, but
but the moral victory
call out improper play
goes
even
to
from
us
the best of
as
us.
the commentators.
Fun game.
GG. And that's, I mean, just to talk about it briefly, like that's just the tip of the iceberg for like what is the potential. Like imagine that turn, except Cylinder Glinting Speeded in, and then after Glinting Speeded in had renewed hope to summon something again to drop it from their hand. and just demand that. Yeah, that is crazy. And I
It's
think we
fun.
can.
You
Yeah,
actually, while you have this up real quick, I will say it's very fun to glinting speed in and drop like 4 seekers, but that's only 12 melee damage when you can throw 14 with blood summon combo. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
yeah. So I'll be excited for after. Well, once we've wrapped up, we'll chat about this with the contestants. But we have one more game coming, and maybe this time we can give a bit more of a proper preamble to these decks, or at least look at them a little bit. So this is the deck that Jexik is talking about in the Summoner Wars guide that you can go read on Summoner Wars Zone. And it
Except he
is
swapped out Moto Boots for Brutal Force.
that's kind of weird, but like you do you. Brutal Force in this deck, interesting. Um, Vine Gates, Ice Smiths come out fully boosted. Ice Smiths boost Smashers. Like 2 Ice Smiths on a Smasher, and that'll one-shot your Summoner with the right roll. And that's kind of the deck, and then they just go places with Gunners. Used to have Moto Boots, I guess not. I mean, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I shot him a quick ping, and he said essentially that he feels like Gunners cover for Moto Boots, and I don't agree with that, but I do think I'm ready to see how this plays out, you know?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And
Don't forget daggers in the deck,
of
because
course,
you
Daggers
have
in the
0
deck.
costs.
There's some champions. And Jarmoon, and then of course we got the Scavenger Parapet Reclaim combo. But let me just talk about the other one real
Dagger
quick.
Ice Smith combo
Yeah,
in this deck is specifically why I think Brutal Force might not be the right, or Moto Boots might, like at least one Moto Boots might be good, because that's the only way
yeah,
you're getting Ice Smith behind anything. But anyway.
yeah. Have you thought much about the Snalg's Cloak deck and what you'd expect from that?
Bro, I know he's going to do like 8 damage, unblockable mortar damage from out of nowhere and get completely surround Jexik at some point. I don't see how yet, so I'm excited to see. Like, I look at this, I'm like, that is a clump of units and that is a weird suite of events, but I know in my bones, I'm gonna see some wild stuff go down this game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it looks like Ice Golems. Sorry, like, and I haven't seen the specific deck in action, but like mortars and Moto Boots go on Ice Golems, and then you copy that and have that as blocks, maybe. But then you also have the Scavenger Reclaim Ice Golems combo. I don't know. There's always so much going on with cloaks. No Baldo in here. We do have Uncle Sparks though. I mean,
The deck
we'll
is
just.
free. It runs 8/0 costs, right?
It runs 8 0 cost. You said it
Yeah, so
sure
the deck is
does. Oh
free.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Is another thing
Um,
that you have to think about. Like, you can really play around with like the average mana value of a deck. That's why Aaron's CG deck always plays Boldo, always plays Dagger, always plays 6 mana sunk into Blarf.
I mean, it seems like 2 interesting or like 2 similar decks with the Scavenger Reclaim. I mean, maybe I don't know. We're gonna like Vox is gonna try to hunker down, and Jexic's just gonna try to plow in with big smashers.
I really
Um,
like that. I think we've dropped from some tier 0 decks to like a tier 1, high tier 2 kind of things, where these are fun builds. These are like builds that you would have a blast playing. So I'm excited that we get both.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Like, yeah, like the smasher thing. Like, even though they can go really far, like with the gunners and whatnot, it's still like it's a lot. It's a hell of a lot more predictable than blood summon in your face. So like
Without Moto
it
Boots, I'm a little bit worried, but we'll see.
to do. I
Maybe
see
I'm
the link
forgetting
here.
Gunner Brutal Force combo to shoot something with a Smasher next to it to move the target and then force the Smasher up. Maybe it's Big Brain.
We'll see. I mean, I think I like played against Jexik once doing this, and it looks like the link is up. And I don't even recall if they used Moto Boots, and I think I used like Law of Sanctity so they couldn't attack my summoner, and so he settled for killing my full health 10 health gate in a single shot. It was a fun game.
I'm never going to use this event at any other point. I might as well play it turn 1.
Does he run glacial shifts in this?
Yeah, he runs 1.
He runs one. Good for him. I I feel like there was a point where he sent me a deck that like didn't run Glacial Shift, and I was just like, I just can't take this seriously. Like, you got to do Glacial Shift in Sfara.
That's gonna move Ice Golem up for Glacial Shift. He has the combo in hand turn 1. Let's get there, boys.
No way. Oh my goodness. Like, see, this is the skill difference that we talk about.
Man, it's been so long since I've seen a good Ice Ram.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I feel like I just haven't. Oh my god! And then you occupy that gate. That is just beautiful. And all this is
But
vanilla even.
this
Yeah.
doesn't. This isn't even like end of game for Snaug, who has 4 Ice Golems. He doesn't need gate spots like regular CO does. I mean CL does.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is
But this is about
what
the
we
dream
want.
start for
A
Jexik.
Vine Gate behind the Frostmate. You could not ask for a better start for this deck. I say, knowing very little about it, like this just seems like you need the pressure because you're a one-trick pony with those crazy smashers, and you got there. Like this is the pressure that we want. The 10 health gate is on the opponent's side.
The next Ice Ram is built for Magic, 100%. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Gunner Klinger, great combo. You see, like, there's just gonna be so much fun in Snaug's deck here that I'm just not ready for. No Ice Golem, difficult.
We're gonna see. See, I expect heavy discarding to get a gate or something, just to try to get rid of this pressure.
He gets rid of 1 Ice Golem.
This, if Jexik just had a bit more magic, we could see the Smasher, but not today, unfortunately.
We can still see Scavenger. 3 melee AV is nothing to sneeze at. The like crazy combo where you get 2 Frost Axe under a unit in the same turn does take all 3 movements, so that's important to know. Okay, see?
Oh goodness, and that's going under the Scavenger to just.
Yep.
Oh,
Potentially end the game.
potentially this. So what's the max damage that Scavenger could do? 3 per dice side. So that'd be 11.
9
total?
damage only.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
only 9 damage max.
And 4, that's a bit of a low. I feel like you could probably. I think 5 is average for 3 melee.
4 seems good.
And this could this could easily be a I demand a rematch sort of situation.
Yeah, 3 rolls for 4, 70% of the time, rolls for 5, 48. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, so now it's gotta be like, well, I'm in quite the pickle. I probably didn't draw an Ice Golem. I would have really liked to draw an Ice Golem.
Let's see. Can I yell at Snalg for not discarding cards at the end of their last turn? He kind of. Isn't it Snalg held too? Oh god, did I just miss their entire turn? Okay, sorry, I missed. No, I didn't.
No,
We're good.
Snog is thinking. He's in the chamber.
Big.
He's like, all right, he got to do the fun stuff. Now I have to think. Yeah, he only discarded 1 card, I think.
Yeah, and held too. I mean, and maybe those cards, maybe he's gonna come back with them. But in this situation, I am panic discarding. And I mean, I think that's something in general that like I struggle with in this game is just like when I feel like I'm behind, I just like throw cards at the wall, and sometimes I feel like a little bit too much. Like I just end up destroying any chance of having winning the game by just getting rid of all of the cards that would actually get me there, just because I'm so scared of what my opponent's about to do.
That's fair.
It's tough to balance
Climber's great. Oh, there's
That's true.
OOS. So Vlox is just gonna go ahead and hop ship to the other side of the field.
Let's just trade sides real quick. I mean, Sfara was like the original summoner for we just end up at the like just trading sides by the end of the game. What's happened, and now we got summoners that do that a lot better than Sfara.
I think we're gonna see the combo.
And suddenly, Vlox is winning.
No,
Um,
no, he's about to get Frost Shaman, Frost Axe. He's about to get Smasher, Frost Axe. Come on, Jexik, don't let us down.
Jexik, you better have drawn that Smasher. If he's not playing it at this point, I'm worried. Because if there's a like there's a Smasher Frost Axe, there's no decision here. Those are the 2 units you're summoning.
Oh, hey,
And
Smasher.
then
Oh, hey, an
there we
Ice
go.
Smith.
So what's you still have that up? What's the average damage I'm doing with 4 melee dice and an Ice Smith?
Yeah, so he hits for exactly 7, 33% of the time. Sorry, 16%. He does at least, sorry, 60% of the time he's hitting for 6 plus. But he also has the Savara attack. If Phlox lives, if he only hits for 4 here, we're in a bad situation, actually.
This game just
never
escalated
attack with the other unit first. There it is. He did it anyway.
Easiest game of their life. That is quite insane. It just blows up. I almost do think you think maybe I'll offer them if they want to run either of these matchups back since we are finished so quickly here. I know Jexik has lots of other fun decks too. I mean, really with Jexik and Snalg, like we could have just set up like 8 games, like I think, and be done in like 2.5 either's. So what have you been playing around with most with deck building? You say the Shadow Elves is the most recent that you've been trying with Katu.
Yeah, I'm just worried about power levels, I think. Often.
Uh-oh. All right, let's hear it.
Because like you made a great example of like Renewed Hope Glinting Speed is a sweet Shadow Elves deck. It is nowhere in comparison to the power levels of the Blood Summon Shadow Elves deck. And that's simply because of how strong Blood Summon is. It does fun stuff, right? But I feel like we kind of like those tier 0 decks should be allowed to live and thrive. But when you know people are playing power level of that caliber, you don't want to just like walk in with like strictly a worse deck, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting because I've sometimes thought about Blood Summon and Shadow Elves. Like, I feel like I've been forcing it because I don't feel like Shadow Elves actually have that many great options to Blood Summon. Like, you got the Warriors and the Mages, but like, not having the Rhinos makes me real sad. But you still think Blood Summon Shadow Elves is probably
I mean,
top tier.
I put in Royal Warriors now, and they're also a silly unit.
Yeah, can you really afford them? Are they not going to just like kill your summoner real fast?
Unless they're also playing a Blood Summon deck. No, they're not. They can't reach me. I don't have to move out of comfort zone.
All right. Looks like we've already started this next game. The classic. All right, I'm gonna go back to turn 1. I hit play right now to watch this. Grog moves forward and force. Are we gonna board wipe this first turn? No, we're not. Deceiver stays alive with 1 health, but that is exactly the sort of attack you want dealing with the Deceiver. Fighter unfortunately killed itself. Otherwise, could have gotten some more dice in there. So I none of us know what deck what Snog is running. Didn't talk about it beforehand, so it's a mystery. Jexik's deck I know a little bit more about, and we can just literally display it. But the idea here is biters go crazy. Mind Witches copy biters. Biters can have mortars on them. Law of Liberty can make biters move twice, and if they move away from Conqueso, they have Plague for the entire turn, which is every time you move, roll 2 dice, add damage to every adjacent unit for each special rolled. You can move twice a turn if you have Law of Liberty. So this is the deck that I think Conqueso can actually
that's so funny.
pop off with. It's
That's so silly.
It's so silly. Like it is like the like, oh good, like, oh my goodness, could Conqueso actually be good here? And he sure could be. I still don't think
sure could be.
I still don't think it's quite as insane. Well, the other thing that makes this deck like you're like, all right, like you're not too worried about it is that like even if you don't draw queso and you don't have that, you still have normal breaker stuff, which is like good. So you know, um,
Um, one of the meme slides that I was making for like the build symbol stuff was I don't think there's anything like truly broken in air yet, except for slits. Slits is a busted champion, so I almost made a slide that was just the air symbol and slits, and I'm like, air decks can build slits.
wait, Slits is the one that heals stuff. I'm sorry, I'm
No,
lost.
it's the one that swaps places.
Oh,
Clank is the one
Silts.
that.
Wait, you said Slits. That's
Yeah, I said slits. It's my bad. Silts.
there. You go. No, I take no blame for that. I'm like, wait, what's the other one? What's the one that repairs stuff? Sorry, say it again. So what's
Clank
what?
or something.
what-
Oh, I had a
It's
whole meme
it's
slide
not
where it's. I don't think
Clank.
wind has
You're
anything
messing
yet.
with me. You don't think Wind has anything crazy?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So were some of the symbols not on your slides from earlier?
No, I only talked about 6 of them, so I only talked about half because I felt like they're the most served right now, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
put combos to put combos.
Yeah. 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 So it feels like both of these decks have a similar plan that is like get in each other's faces as annoyingly as possible. And they're doing it pretty effectively.
I'm sorry,
It's funny.
Jexik runs mortar.
I mean, so the idea is, and he's done this against me, is you put a mortar on a biter, and then like you have like 3 mind witches copy that biter, they go forward and they mortar you 3 times in a turn and just like
I
wipe your
love
board.
this.
It's a really fun deck.
What a good space.
I'm really hoping to see Jexik. I think originally I had started with some of the testing of this deck, and when I did it, I had Airy Gates in there because I think they helped with the queso shenanigans. Like I was really trying to make queso work, and then this is Jexik added like the mortars, which I think are good. I'm sad not to see an Airy Gate in there because it makes queso a little bit less likely. I think is there a Hypnotic Call in there too that can also make queso kind of fun? Looks like no, just opting for the mortar nonsense.
Have we
Dog
seen a
is
single card that's not in base TO yet?
Snalg just accidentally took base TO as far as we know.
Snog, hot take. I just took, the best deck based based Tundra Orcs. It beats
Base
any
Tundra
deck build.
Orcs can get a lot done,
And this is the normal matchup with a mortar on the 10 health gate.
Just normal to Kulu, except a mortar on your 10 health gate. Thruster into Kulu legit sounds like a lot of fun.
Hard agree.
Like, it's just like, what?
It's
Why
exactly what
push
BR wants, I think.
Yeah, like, why push your Wind Archer behind your gate when you could push your gate in front of your Wind Archer? Like, easy.
All right, we're doing just base TO versus BR this turn, but I think it's not going to stay that way. Now being like, I don't care, you're gonna mortar my entire gate away, and I'm just gonna take that. Nope. Nope. Still yes, actually. Drudger, new card, new card.
Not even a thruster, just going ham. I feel like Drudgers. How do you feel about them? Because I don't like. I'm not just like bending over backwards to put them into Grognak because I kind of just like to turtle anyways. Is that a skill issue on my part?
I hate them. I hate it as a unit.
Okay, good take. Good take.
I don't know.
Tell me why. Say a little more.
I hate it in Swamp Orcs. I hate it in Tundra Orcs. I hate it wherever it wants to go. I don't understand why I'm paying a magic to negate an attack. I don't know. And why does it have
let's
three AV?
That is interesting. I mean, it feels like Muglug can kind of live forever with dredgers. Um,
Does it? By dodging 4 attacks?
like that's a lot of that's a lot of attacks. Let's
There's the
fucking
spicy
go.
cheese man.
I don't know if we're hmm.
Nope, he's gone.
And now it's gone. And now
And
it's
he's
gone.
back.
I see,
He
I
now
see.
cannot retake back his turn, so that's fun.
It feels
Any
like
dice
Queso
rolled,
just kind
no
of
redo.
dies here and you're a little bit sad. Um, but that's okay.
But you mind capture Shonk, and it's a fair trade.
You gonna explosive cell Shonk? You madman.
And yourself. Now this is deck, and he would have got
And
the
then you
3.
get the 3. So like I think you explosive shell. I mean, this is 100% hindsight, but like, don't you explosive shell afterwards? Like,
No, he wanted a 2 health Shonk. 3 is too much.
fair, fair.
Also, attacking Concave, so here's bait. You should just leave the cheese man alone. Maybe we'll see another new card. Huh?
Yeah, it's at some point a bunch of mind witches can come out of that gate and do something crazy. If we get like another mortar in there or something. I don't know. Bear
Oh, so
cab.
like, no, he did want it because that if there's an ideal turn, there's not going to be. Shonk starts with spread, so a common could get spread right away, right? You need that Jenga piece.
Feel like Queso dies every time, but fair. Let's see if this game is going to continue or not. It like a little bit. This game will continue a little tiny bit. I'm kind of surprised
No,
you don't
cheese
re-roll that.
man.
Like, I guess Cheeseman dies, but like, that cab was pretty good. Okay, I'm less surprised now. This seems
And
like
Shonk
GG.
dies. No, it does not.
Honestly, there are worlds where Grognak dies, though.
Yeah. One magic is a little bit rough.
He's up
Mind
for
Witch
okay.
Biter
I'm sorry.
gets you to 7.
I just glanced in the bottom right corner. What is that nonsense? I've never seen that many events at the same time.
I love that. That's a
Was that
beautiful
a hand?
thing.
That was a hand of 4 events, and
And a bear.
you played all of them. That's pretty fun.
Come on, Jexik. Copy the shaman, you coward. Oh, biters are 1 magic too, aren't they? Are they free?
They're free.
Biters are free.
Biters are easy. If there's a biter here, we got a shot.
Liberty.
Right.
Don't know.
No biter, nothing else. Where are your biters?
What is Liberty doing here?
Nothing. I think this is an extended way of pressing the concede button.
There was a chance that he did, 8 damage and then mortared himself. He got close.
I feel like you start with the mortar in case it kills itself. You got there. Got there in the end.
That was a good game.
Jexik, tell us about how you got into Summoner Wars, and what you enjoy about it.
I've been here since like day -1 when Colby was first showing the starter sets back in like 2009. So, yeah. I just
That's all I need to say.
yeah. But what do I like about it and why am I still here? I don't know. The game is fun and I try to just, have fun with it, So,
Yeah.
just like I think in any game that even isn't as centered on positional play, that's what I kind of like. But I also think deck building kind of gives you a chance to show off some creativity and play around with stuff. So that's fun.
Yeah, good
So
stuff.
for
I feel like that's something
yeah.
that sets you apart from a lot of people is just how much you've deck built and how much you enjoy that, and you're always advocating for it.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess if you want to go like to the pre-Summoner Wars stories, like I knew Colby from Heroescape, so like,
Oh yeah.
so I was well known in that community for like coming up with armies and stuff, because that was almost all. There was no like pre-stock builds for that. You just like you had a wide open field of what you could build, and some of the best players would talk to me and come up with ideas for like whatever the best like meta decks were, or not decks, but like armies. But I wasn't the best player. I was like maybe top 20 at best at my when I was doing my best, you know. Um, so like I've learned over time that I'm more of a Johnny than a Spike, if you know the Magic terminology, you know, that I'm more into like having fun and doing creative stuff and like coming up with combos more so than, you know, being the number one tournament player, you know.
Um, you want to tell us just a little bit about how you got into Summoner Wars and what keeps you coming back?
Wow. Well, so yeah, it's a long, yeah, it was so long ago, but I actually came in relatively late. So I think it was because the app. I was never a very avid like a board game like face to face player because there are just very few people around me to really play board games with. So I started with just playing a bunch of board games on the app, and then later on the Summoner Wars made I think the Play Deck app was pretty good, and then I just jumped in, then just couldn't quit. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I got into it. So I know that Summoner Wars was long. It was very successful long before the app. Really got into it after the app came out. It allowed me to just keep on playing tons of games and doing work. Yeah, that's how I play so fast because like I just need to open it up. Oh, it's my turn, and then play like a quick game, quick turn, and then just shut it off and go back to my work.
Yeah, yeah.
Quick before the boss shows up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You
like
feel
I'm
like
just pretending like, oh, this is some paper I'm reading. I'm using it, and I just change to a different screen.
you feel like any particular factions lend themselves to that sort of blitz style in particular, or are you comfortable just going fast with whatever we throw at you?
Yeah, I feel like yeah, it is true. Like some factions probably need to think a little bit more, but yeah, I think like for example, I made cloaks in the first edition, and I think that was one of the more thinky factions. Like, there's a lot of options you need to think about. However, I just like because it was just so fun, I just became like secondary nature. Like it just become very intuitive. I just keep on playing, and then yeah, I lost a lot, but I don't care. I just
And
it's like yeah, I don't know. It just become kind of like I just like after playing, I played like about 5,000 games in the app, and about 3,000 of them was closed. So after a while, I just get like, oh, I see this, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's insane. I mean, I'm so impressed by how fast you guys play, in general. I don't know what's yeah,
Well,
what's the
I knew
secret?
that
I
he
mean, I
was gonna
guess
bring the speed, so I you know like in that first game, I guess we don't necessarily talk about the games yet, but like I didn't like I had Shonk in my hand too, but I was like, this is a Brub deck. I'm playing Brub, you know. Like I think the correct play was to play Shonk and wait a little longer and play for value and stuff. But I was like, this is stream. It's fun. Let's just get Brub out because that's what people want to see.
People
yeah.
wanted to see it, and you delivered, Jexik. Thank you.
Yeah, and he just kept staying alive. Well, maybe let's talk about that then. How are you guys feeling that first game? How did your strategies develop?
Yeah, did I take the first turn or did no? He did.
I
I'm trying to
did.
remember. Yeah, you did. Yeah, but I mean, I was just kind of I had Brub in my opening hand, and I was just thinking, okay, get some Oathsworn out, get some boosts, and get Brub out, and I managed to get a couple kills on the return. So I was like, yeah, let's just do it, and it worked out okay until he decided to kill me. Uh, like, what were your thoughts, Snaug?
Yeah. So yeah. So the SH build is just playing combo deck, like just kill people in one turn. But the thing is, you need to have all the ingredients ready. So sometimes it's the plan was just to try to build up your hand and get through all the combo pieces you need and do the one punch thing. Yeah, so I feel it's a little different from the build where you could just rush out the door. I mean, I think the DO build is a little faster than the SH build, so I think the SH build is a little better economically, so I could kind of hang in there a little bit longer just to try to get my hand. And yeah, and the key ingredient is obviously a blood summon.
Yeah.
So I didn't get it until fairly late in the game. So I was just trying to just sit on and hang tight and just try to grab blood summon as early as possible. So that's the only event card I had to win.
Yeah.
So essential.
My Four Glories came kind of late, and then when I did use it, it just like totally sputtered. and then I was like, well, I still have my fighters and 2 axes, and like the turn that he killed me, I had a fighter, axe, and brutal force in hand, but no Four Glory. But so if he didn't kill me, which he got exactly the right number of hits, I would have definitely fighter, Four Glory, grog, killed him most likely. But you know, it was a good close game, and it was fun. Yeah,
I almost thought I was going to whiff on the last one. I think, okay, I'm so dead. And then I just made it last hit.
And so Snalg, do you normally think about this as a combo deck? Like you got to get that kill in there with Blood Summon at some point, or will you also play for the econ with this deck?
Yeah, so this deck, I feel that SH they do have a little better in econ play. So with Mordor, you could just build up tons of boosts and just sit back. So I have so there are a few backup plans for econ. Like OB is very good. I build up my and then could just earn a bunch of value. And actually, just having a bunch of boosts and killing stuff and putting and denying magic, I think that by itself is pretty good econ. So yeah, I think that deck. One of the advantage of the deck is that they do have the econ built in, but this deck is when I build it, it is more geared towards like assassination. Yeah, but I think it's a fun balancing thing. Like when you build a deck, like whether you want to think about where you want to go, a little more econ or a little more. I think that's kind of the fun part of deck building, like which direction you want to take.
Yeah, I think the Shadow Elves are pretty robust in that way, and I've been thinking for a while that's one of the stronger deck building decks, but I'm just not good with Shadow Elves, so I haven't been able to prove it.
Do you run something kind of? Do you have what does your Shadow Elves build kind of look like in respect to Snalg's Jexik?
Oh, I haven't made one in a while. Like the last time I was goofing around after watching Doug play the Eternal Council with like using Guardian Spirits. So I was like, I'm gonna just name a deck called Ninja Turtles, and I put Con Queso in it, and I had like Guardian Spirits and
I gotcha.
Renewed Hope and Blood Summon. I think it was a mess, but it was kind of fun. It worked okay. I don't know, but I don't have like a Shadow Elves build that I'm really used very much in a while. But I mean, you almost always use Black Saber and Maldar, I think, and Blood Summon, and probably Renewed Hope is really good too. So then I guess you got to figure out how many Onyx Tomes. Yeah, it's just tricky to build Shadow Elves. I don't know. But
yeah, you have an interesting. So we've been talking about Shadow Elves a lot, and I've been playing a lot of Shadow Elves deck builds myself personally. It's now I think we finished a game either this morning or the morning before.
I got beat up badly.
But the event suite is something very interesting, and I guess I my eyes are drawn to Call Forth, and I wonder how much you've played this deck since CO came out, and how Call Forth feels in the deck.
Yeah, I think that's me, right? So yeah, I just tried. So yeah, obviously CO just came out, so this is still kind of trying it out. But I think it helps a lot for this Blood Summon. You really, or if you are going the Renew Hope route, I think either one. You just need a big hand to utilize everything.
Yeah.
And also because there are a lot of key comments. Like sometimes you want the warrior, sometimes you want to have the mage. Like in our game against Jexik, I discarded all my warriors because I drew the Call Force early on, so I knew I could get everything back later. So I just used that, and I could have a little more splashy combo. Yeah, so yeah, I think Call Force is really helpful in this deck.
Yeah, it seems like it lets you discard commons more liberally, and then just wait for the Blood Summon kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be talking about Blood Summon a lot in deck building in the very near future. And I think that personally my take right now on the onset is that Call Forth is what pushes it over into just completely ridiculous. Because essentially those 2 cards are now, you can summon any 2 commons in your deck at any time if you just keep those, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, as long as they cost 2 or less, because you can't do it with like fungal beasts or whatever. But yeah.
Right. But no, it's even funny, Snalg, if you go back in the video, we roast you a little bit because Ben and I have been talking about this a lot. You Onyx tomed back a Shadow Mage, but you could have Call Forth and then Onyx tomed back the Call Forth to get 4 units instead of 3, right?
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought. Yeah, you see, that's the thing with
So you can call forth first.
playing
Yeah.
quickly. I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, definitely.
Huh.
But it's
Take
pretty
one
nutty.
extra damage.
That's pretty
But
insane.
Onyx Tome and Call Forth are the same phase. They're both summon. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, and-
you'd have to have enough life on the field to get hit to take the pings, but yeah. Especially with Shadow Elves getting a boost for every one of those damages. For the call for the off of the
Yeah,
tome. Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
pointing
when
that out.
before I saw go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just appreciate it. I wouldn't have thought about it. I mean, I should have. Yeah, I just think that just play so fast.
Before I saw the line
right.
where you were going to bounce back your blood mage, I was like, oh, that last 2 health was the additional 2 dice you could have got
Yes.
by getting an extra unit blood. But like then it all worked out. It was
Not only that, I could have killed my own unit. I killed additional units, so the warrior will have 1 more boost. So that's 2 extra damage. Yeah, big difference.
You guys will have to stop me after a point, because like I feel like I could just talk about Shadow Elves this entire time, because there's just so much going on. But I'm curious to hear a little bit about like the making of this deck, or like the making of Shadow Elves decks in general, because like you just have so maybe the event suite in particular, like just all of these events are insane. Like when I see Shadow Elves, I see like Glinting Speed and Renewed Hope, and I'm like, oh, I could glint in there and then summon a bunch of boys off of that, and like, and I would never really think Purge. What you think like any sort of Renewed Hope build would just be doing something different, Snog, or like what led you to these particular
Yeah,
events?
I think that's a very good question, because I began with the Renew Hope Glinting Speed build, so I feel that I call it like the light side and the dark side of the dark elf, of the Shadow Elf. Like if you go the light route, you would be going to Glinting Speed, and then
I think Massimo had more of a light build in the last tournament.
Yeah, I started with that, but I feel that the problem with that build is that you need attack to remove the blocker, and then you don't have enough strength to win and kill. So you probably for this deck to work, you probably need to do like multiple small hits and big hits. So you cannot take like 13 lives off in 1 kill, because for this build, first is it's hard to utilize the warrior because you don't have a good way to self-kill. And then the other is so the most you get is like 3 hits from the seekers, or 4 hits from the blood mage. So it's hard to do a DK thing, I feel. And then you need to use 1 to remove blocker. So even with like demand, I feel that's still sometimes tough. You're in that position, you feel that you lack a little bit to kill them. That's my feeling. So later on, so this is kind of the new way I'm testing. I don't know if it's better, but it's just trying the dark side. So, and I think the idea is just to use all to draw a bunch of stuff and just use. The problem with Renew Hope is also you need enough magic to do those things as well, and Blood Summoner is kind of free. And I think the two is
you can do Blood Summon with no magic and it's dirty.
yeah, exactly. So I feel
Just
Renew
mean.
Hope is kind of a little tougher to do.
I mean, that's why I mean, it's just harder to predict or like build around, like protect around, because your opponent can literally go off with just 1 magic and have and for tome or whatever, they just, whereas Brub is way more telegraphed, I think. Although like once back when you had the light side deck and you just have a ton of cards in hand, I used to be worried because like, oh, he's gonna do something with 10 cards in his hand, but this, it's harder to know when it's coming. But I guess the longer the game goes, the more likely it is they draw their blood summon, so you have to be more prepared for it. Which is why you can kind of see why I like Drudger. I didn't have a 1 out at the end of this last game, but like if I had a Drudger next to Grognak, he doesn't have that kill, and that's what I kind of found with like playing Snalg before in open queue, is that Drudger is really what kind of set this deck apart after, like towards in the last season and season 2, I was doing well with it again because a Drudger kind of made the difference, I think, for these one-turn kill to kind of potentials, because it also stops Brutal Force. Like if you have a Drudger next to him and they try to Brutal Force Grognak, it just pops the Drudger and he doesn't get pushed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Dredger is a pretty good way because you need to waste attack on it, which is very precious.
Anything to add about the making of the Grognak deck, the Brubacalypse? We did our best to.
Or not. Oh, now I'm thinking of calling it like Fight Brub because it's got fighters and Brub, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't see that as often in other people's Brub decks is using fighters and axe, because like fighter axe for glory is so deadly. And like the changes from the last tournament, I added Blub and Brutal Force because I saw how good Brutal Force was for Aaron, and I had taken it out for the tournament. And now I really wish I had Brutal Force because it just allows you to win in situations where you might not be able to otherwise. And then Blub is just kind of like, he's so different than Brub in the kind of like threat he poses that he can be good too, like give you a little extra reach and hit something with Brutal Force and just kind of tap him into some other situation. So that's why I kind of went there. And Shank is just like your good meat shield. Like I said, if I wanted to just win that first game, I probably should have played Shank first. And then just save the magic for Brub, because I didn't have the boost yet for Brub to really pop off and show off what he could do. But, you know, it was like Snalg was saying, it's like we just kind of like have all this adrenaline trying to play all these games quick right now before that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna play Brub. Yeah,
you gave the people what they want.
And he still kept surviving. He kept whiffing his attacks, and Brub was just shooting, mowing.
But both sides, Brub also whiffed a lot, so
he did. And I think that's important to show that Brub, he doesn't just kill everything. He just But yeah, I mean, I wrote an article like last November about the initial take on the Brub deck, and it's kind of evolved over time to deal with people's other decks. And Drudger was kind of the response to like Cave Goblins and other aggressive, and Shadow Elves, other aggressive decks that could one-turn kill them to just try to protect myself.
Does Drudger prevent being pushed because he doesn't get damaged?
Yes. So like technically Grognak doesn't damage, so it just eats the Drudger, and then you don't get Brutal Forced.
Nice. I love that.
Interesting.
But if they just kill the Drudger and then hit Grognak, then he'll move. But if they don't have a good way to do that, and that's also important for the Swamp Orcs Tundra Orcs matchup when it was in League. You can really screw up your whole turn by counting on Brutal Force if they have a Drudger. So
absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. You want to jump into that second game? What you guys are thinking here?
Because I only have one Glacial Shift, and I had Ice Ram and Glacial Shift.
Perfect opening turn.
I'm just going for it. And I found in general with this deck, if I Glacial Shift my 10 gate up, it just causes all kinds of problems for my opponent. So, that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this. I didn't even have it the whole turn like mapped out. I was like, this will work, and I just started just shoving things towards him, and then it created enough pressure that he's like, well, I gotta do something now, and yeah.
Is Ice Ram normally just magic?
Oh, for the deck?
Yeah.
Often if I don't have the Glacial Shift, or I'll just like use it for a couple value damage. Because even if you just hit something with a couple Ice Golems, it's like, it's damage. It's free damage.
If it pushes over into being a magic from a unit kill, it's worth playing.
Yeah.
But this has got to be the most insane opening. I guess maybe not that I've ever seen, but like at least the best opening you could ask for as this deck. Like getting up there, getting the Vine Gate protected, killing both units, occupying a part, 10 health gate on the enemy side. Like just what a turn. And all basically base. That's wild.
And then but the only thing that stunk about that turn is I didn't build the 3 magic because I couldn't threaten a Smasher at that point. I was like, well, and I drew a Scavenger, and I was like, well, Scavenger will still maybe put some good work in. And then I was like really upset when I was like, I'll do what's her name? Svara's attack first and let the Smasher get the kill. And then Svara rolls like a perfect Smasher hit with the first 3 dice. It was like two symbol, like like two sword
Yep.
symbols, two sword symbols, and like one bow. I was like, oh no, come on! And then he did exactly 6. I was like, okay, I'll take it.
And Snog, what are you thinking on the receiving end of this? Like, what is
Yeah,
your
well,
plan?
obviously the first turn was like, this doesn't look good. So, and yeah, so the deck, so my deck there is like 4 ice columns, so it's basically just so the design was to push forward with using is climbers and just columns everywhere on the opponent's side and start farming stuff and just so it's kind of like a crowding deck. But obviously, when you're on the other side, then I would like that if I had a little more like columns, so maybe I could build up a defense, but I didn't get any of that. So just try to kill off stuff for the first turn and try to delay as much as possible. I tried to kill the stone column first turn with blocks and but that only doing 1 damage, so shift the whatever that's called.
And like
Clinger? Yeah, the clinger to kill.
Yeah. And
yeah,
the turn
but then that sorry?
No, I was gonna say the turn you played Out of Shadows, I was like, wait a minute, am I dead? No, I can't be dead. He doesn't have dagger. What's going on?
Yeah. So I was just trying to just surround you and hope that you don't have a smasher. That's just kind of the plan because I had 2 ways. So either is I push back and then just try to defend with climber, so I could protect block for a few turns. But I think long term the deck will not hold because with the 10 health gate there, I probably just do everything.
Yeah.
So I just decided to try to do the gamble.
And that's what I realized when you climbed. I was like, well, he's getting away from that scavenger with an axe, so he's probably safer in front of my summoner if I don't have this.
Yeah, exactly. Either I try to kill the scavenger, but I think it's still kind of I just feel that long term it will not be good for me. Just do the gamble thing. I feel that I probably have like 40, 60 chance if you cannot kill me the next. Yeah, I drew the dagger next turn, so I still have.
Yeah, so I mean, I really needed to get that hit, and I lucked out there. But yeah, that was a fun one too.
Yeah, it was very fun.
And Snog, maybe since we didn't get to see a whole lot of your deck's normal game plan there, you mind giving a little bit about your thought process in building this deck?
Yeah, so blocks is also interesting. I really enjoy block builds because there are just so many different directions you could go, and yeah, so I think a Prophet built a very good block deck using just like economy. I think it's very good. You have Herpat Scavengers and then Bodo. I can never remember the guy dancing around, but anyway,
Test too,
Sorry.
I think he uses Test as well to adjust his
parapets. Yeah, so I played with this deck before. I thought it was very, very, very powerful and very hard to deal with. But I just like to rush on and just so it's kind of this one is use a lot of CG units, like especially climbers. So I find that because the first turn blocks is blocked behind his own gate. So I think having opening with a climber is very helpful. So if I could do a climber opening, blocks could just climb over and drop a gate or stone column in the and then later on you can start to creep into the enemy territory pretty easily. So that's the plan. Like for the deck build is just to crowd the opponent, just blocks going in as climber and throwing stone columns around, and then once you crowd the place, strengthen with mortars or also rogues to just deal damage out place. Just the opponent. Yeah, so that's a plan. But I've tried it so it is kind of relatively new deck I'm testing. So I tried it in a few public queues. Seems to do okay. It's just so still kind of tinkering around. But I thought it's
it's good. I mean, it feels like there's so much you could do with cloaks. And I haven't even tried. But this looks like a lot of fun.
And more coming with the forge.
Oh yeah.
Everyone keeps saying that.
Prepare yourself.
Maybe I will. Can I prepare myself for that last game? What happened here? You both just like threw a bunch of units at each other, and then eventually.
It was very silly, and I appreciated it.
Well, I knew going in that the deck I was playing was going to be silly, and then so I just was, and like I didn't get the hands I wanted because like I got a mortar early, but no biters or rust riders. Because that's the trick of the deck is to put mortars on one of those two. Oh, I guess I had one biter, but I didn't want to put a mortar on the biter first turn. But like it's like put a mortar on a rust rider and then copy it with a couple mind witches, and you just pop off with mortars, and it's really silly. But I did not get to do that. But instead I was just kind of like trying to chip at them, and then yeah, I don't know. I was trying to steal Shonk because I thought that'd be fun to do.
You did.
But then he had an insane turn where he just like popped off with brutal, like not brutal, with like
4
glory.
events.
Yeah, for glory, primal fury. I was like, there's no way I'm planning around that, especially since I hardly looked at his deck. I was like, this is interesting, no brub, and like, and then yeah.
Yeah, what was that turn? You have 4 active events. I've never seen that.
Not even an
Yeah,
idiot.
Yeah, I never like I tested this deck in Perfect Cube, but this was the first time I got all those events out together. So I was very very happy I could do everything.
I was like really regretting that I mortared my own dude. That's my summoner.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need to because I went 3 out of 3 anyway. I was like, But I feel a lot better with a 2 out of 3 on range than a 3 out of 3. So I really wanted to steal Shonk just for the gift.
Well, it's how you spread the plague, right?
Yeah, Shonk with the plague. Yeah, it'd be great. And I had my Liberty, but like my gates were in a wrong spot. I was like, I could win with Liberty, but my gates were like he killed my one gate, and I wasn't able to like get a ton of hits on Grognak. I was, man, or if I just gave myself more magic, like I didn't discard hard enough because I had Silts and Conqueso in my hand for like the whole game, and I was like, okay, Silts will probably let me win, but Conqueso is what the deck is based around. I should probably try to play Conqueso, and then, yeah.
Jexik, you're forgiven for not thinking your entire life was going to get ended on 4 event turns.
Oh.
Especially since the whole game was like 8 minutes long, probably. So.
And so, Jack, do you find like that this deck tends to be more of like a bait the opponent into your area and then jump on them, or like that you like to just rush up like any other aggro deck?
I think against Grognak, you want to try to keep chipping at him, which is kind of why I sent the first biter right at him and just kind of get Deceivers in the works and slow him down. I felt pretty good about how the game started, but like you said, like that 4 event turn, and then I don't know. I felt like I forgot whether I actually discarded Silts. I may have, but my plan was just to wait a little longer till I could do something fun with the second mortar, because I drew the second mortar but didn't have the structures at that point to copy. But I didn't have enough magic. But I was like, oh, if I just draw a biter, this will be a great hand. I can copy the biter.
It would have been.
Yeah, but like, yeah. But it was fun. That was a good turn.
It was a great game.
You guys are trying to get us to play a 4th, and I was like, yeah, we're trying.
I was pushing it. And Snalg. Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I just think it's fun because for me, deck building is just like a time to like experiment and see fun things happen. And a lot of people think of it, they come from like Magic the Gathering or some other situation where they think that it has to be the most competitive format of the thing. And I think it's more about exploration and trying new things. And I think Snalg likes doing that too. But I think we also both just like try to play fast and to some extent just sort of have fun with it. I mean, maybe I shouldn't speak for him, but that's the feeling I get.
No, I agree. I completely agree. So yeah, for me, I agree. I'm also like kind of more Johnny than Spike. I don't think much. So I don't like to really, like, I know a lot of people really analyze each turn very carefully, what I'm going to do now and next turn or next turn after that. And so I'm very bad at chess because I just play so quickly. I just, I'll do this, and then, my queen got killed. Oh, well, too bad. so yeah, that's how I just feel that, it's a game. I don't want to think too much about it. Like in life, I need to think carefully, but it's a game. I feel that like playing game is just for me a space where I could just kind of relax and not think too much. Yeah, so that's how I view things, and Yeah, so that's probably why I'm not very good at at winning. But yeah, I mean, just having fun, and that's important. At least
I need to take that mindset to heart. It's a game. I should have fun and not overthink everything.
I mean, but
Oh,
like, I mean, your
goodness.
thoughts are interesting when I have but like, I think it's a spectrum of different things, and like for something like the Scuffle, where like you said, there's nothing on the line here. We're just like, you know,
Yeah.
trying to have a good time, and just showcase some decks. Although I guess to some extent we didn't achieve that goal because the games were over so quickly. We didn't get to see everything the decks could do.
I mean, there was an hour of games somewhere.
And the
The
first
first
game
game literally did what both decks wanted to do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I didn't get to do my Brutal Force Axe thing, but yeah, I mean, I've explained it enough times to see what it does.
And Jexik, you got to Frost Axe a Smasher.
Yeah,
if
that was.
anything,
Yeah.
I mean, that second
yeah.
deck showcased what my deck was trying to do for sure. Like, because
and
like,
very efficiently.
well, because like I try to what am I trying to say? Like I wrote an article about that one too, but like that one just started with the idea of like, what can I do with a Vine Gate? What's weird that can be done with Vine Gates? You know, so like all my decks in season 2 were like, we're trying to abuse Vine Gate. Didn't work out so much in Tundra Orcs, and eventually I took it out. But I had a Savannah Elves build for a while too, just like with Airy Gate and Vine Gate, just seeing like what happens if you have 7 gates in a deck, you know?
Speaking of Savannah Elves and Vine Gate, have either of you checked out Chibata's Savannah Elves deck in the tournament?
I've not, but I see that he went 8-0, so I might have to take a look at it if I move on to the next round.
I am preaching that it is truly inspired. It is a beautiful deck that I'm just like, wow, yes, you have done something good here.
Because, like, yeah, I mean, theoretically they should be good since Savannah Elves are the best deck in base. So, like, once they have enough support in deck building, they should be good there too. So maybe their time has finally come.
Vine Gate plus every unit in your deck wants boost.
Yeah, so
great.
he said he was trying to like maximize Chant of Power, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It works.
And what's the in there? Like, how does this do Chant of Power better than normal?
I know he's got Maldar, right? That's part of it.
Yeah, Maldar is the Chant of Power generator for sure. But then even just like, why don't, like, if you Vine Gate an Adventurer, just take the 6 AV when you have it, you know? That's worth it.
Yeah. Be interesting. I think that's kind of probably spoiler territory. But I think Savannah Elves will get more cool things later. That's all I'm going to say.
That's crazy. Yeah, I saw a game where like I was just like confused. I was like, wait, how is the adventurer moving so much? And I'm like, oh my god, it can just go forward for every boost it has. I think there was like an assassination on Purse Warden or something, like some crazy kill that an adventurer got by just getting to go crazy. It was against an Edia deck. Yeah, and speaking of the tournament, how you guys feeling about that, or just like the future of deck building in general?
I know the funny thing is we didn't play either of our decks. We both played Modern Varghulf in the tournament.
Yeah.
But as we were kind of talking, it's not the most creative of builds. It's just like, okay, you try to maximize border archers and just it's more of a value deck, honestly. The one I'm playing at least. It doesn't. Although I did get a couple early kills, like when you could just go for it, like with Adventurer, because Adventurer copy because my deck's trying to maximize Entangle too. So I have like Spirit Mages, Border Archers, and Eager Adventurers to try to entangle along with Slingers and a couple of the Mountain Varghulf Slingers too.
Yeah, I think mine is a similar build. So yeah, but instead I using the birds. I use I forgot what else. Sentinels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. And also just spamming border archers. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, effectively, right? A buffed up Sentinel is like as good as a Smasher, right? Because they have 6 health but sluggish.
Yeah, and There's some things I haven't even gotten a chance to do yet. Like I want to entangle like a spirit mage with an eager adventurer and just go for a crazy assassination down the field because an eager adventurer can move, get a boost, and then boost even further or you spend the boost to just go down the field, but hasn't come up yet.
That's another thing that Shibata's deck does really well too. I mean, 3 boost on an adventure is just ready to go to anywhere.
Yeah.
Is there any? Go ahead.
No, I was like, that reminds me that I want there to be a good Wayfarer's build too, but I haven't found it yet. I know you're messing around with it, level 3, but
Yeah, and I had a sad opening round, but
Oh no.
it's all good. I think it's missing a couple of cards to be there, but
yeah. There's also like the Clinger Spirit Adventurer or Spirit Voyager nonsense you can do. Like I just don't know what direction to take it is my point, I guess. But I feel like Battle Leader's good, and I know you were saying that too. But
I love Martial Forces as an event, right? Are we all on board with Martial Forces?
I've got 2 of them in my Mountain Vargheth deck still, the deck built one. But yeah, it's good.
They seem
Hack
real
phase
good.
repositioning, we love it.
And Jexik, you've done a thing with your Wayfarer deck. You still run the Airy Gates and then also the Clingers and then also the
Like Eager
what's it called?
Adventurers too.
Adventurers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
you
like
just have lots of ways to push stuff out and then cling on things, and then if you do a clinger with a Spirit Voyager, the Spirit Voyager moves, drops the clinger off, then the Voyager can then Spirit jump to where the
right.
clinger
That's
went.
insane. That's
So
so funny. It's literally
it's
leapfrogging.
and that's basically like I just made like a limited deck that did that with Airy Gate, clingers. Yeah, it was fun. I don't know. And then if you got clingers in the deck, you might as well play Dagger. So I mean, there's I don't know, there's some cool things you can do there, but I haven't tried Varn yet. But like I don't know, do you do Varn Boldo Dagger? That seems like too much magic for that deck. So I don't know. I used to run Smeg too because like extra attacks are a premium if you're trying to fight like Phoenix Elves or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I still have like the sweetest turn where I was playing against Prophet's Cloaks, like his super like long game cloaks deck, and he left exactly one space open in front of Locks, or actually 2 spaces, like 1 space and 1 diagonal space, and I killed him when he was at full health. It was just like good. It was like with Smeg and a coordinate, slip by, turn, and Boldo and Dagger. It was just so much fun. but
Funny.
I don't know. But like my Wayfarer's deck in general kind of struggled when I was playing it last season. So
Yeah.
but it might have better pieces now. I don't know. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent there. I don't know if you guys want to redirect the convo.
No. Are there any like summoners or decks that you guys feel like you haven't tried out much but you want to, or anything that's like surprised you in the tournament where it's you suddenly want to try something new?
Well, like everyone and their brother is playing Mountain Vargheth, but I saw a few people playing.
Yeah.
I saw a few people playing Crimson Order, and I'm curious about their potential too. They're still more
Yeah.
popular than some other decks too. So, like, I want to maybe give Phoenix Elves a go sometime, because her ability suite is interesting. She just has low health, so she's very vulnerable to being murdered. But there still might be something there. I'm just not sure what. Because like back in the day, before she was changed, she actually had some cool stuff you could do with Ember Guards and Hellforge Weapon and stuff like that. I had some cool aggressive decks like that. But I don't know what she would do now exactly. I guess you could still play that and just take the health damage and hope you win that turn. You know, like.
And she'd probably run Peace, let's be honest, right? So I mean,
And that's the thing. You could just run
God.
like you can just run a really aggro. Now you could probably run an aggro deck with like maybe Arbiter of Peace and like both types of priest, like the priest from High Elves and the Sacral priests from
Sacral
Crimson
Priest.
Order.
Yeah.
So you could just like have all these ways to summon next to yourself, but also do it with some Ember units too. Like, yeah, there's probably something there. But again, you gotta be very careful of things that can kill you quickly. But luckily, I mean, her ability still helps there in terms of, you know, she can't get Brutal Forced as easily as some other decks.
slight hop. The only decks that we really haven't talked about at all yet, right, are VG and HE. Like the new crazy formation. You don't get to do any damage decks. How do we feel about those guys?
Well, I mean, Shampoo was playing Vanguards in the last tournament and did well, so I think it's not. I mean, it's not super new, but yes, it's frustrating and it's not my favorite jam. But I respect that it exists. I guess I'll say that. But like, I almost beat Prophet with Mountain Vargath, but then I just lost because he kept rolling really well with his Mind Witches and just murdering everything I had. Like Mind Witch, but with a war backing it up, copying Border Archers just feels terrible. To like you're just dying. But
Yeah, I agree. I feel that I'm not a fan of too defensive decks. So just I hate priests. Not peace.
yeah, I think peace.
I love peace, but not the unit. So
yeah, I think Arbiter
yeah.
of Peace might be one of the most powerful commons in the game. I mentioned that in deck building thread too. I was like, yeah, it's definitely top 5, if not the best common in the game, I think, for deck building.
Yeah, but I just feel that I don't like. I try to avoid that. Like so that's why I don't play a lot of those when I do deck building. I just feel those makes the game turn very slow and the slog, and I just want to finish quickly. So yeah, I try to avoid those when deck building. But I agree. I think it's also like very interesting. I mean, conceptually, I think it's fun to try to utilize every unit, try to make it best. But just that it makes the game very slow, which is not my preferred style.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Brub actually does work well against the Peace Sanctity thing. Because the first attack, like as long as you roll a bow, even if it does 0 damage, you get to attack again with Brub. Because that's how it's worded. It's not do damage, it's do you roll a bow. So he can blast through priests and or peace. And then if Sanctity's up, it doesn't matter. You're just doing 1 damage at a time anyway. But then they can still play around it because Brub's threat range is pretty easy to understand. So, but he is a potential counter to that strategy.
You know, I do want to throw in that I like went hard at the start of this segment about like Blood Summon just being nuts, and I think it is, right? But I also think that I haven't spent enough time thinking about how this is exactly what happened to Brub when OD first released. Whenever the first 2 decks of a wave release and they give crazy options to a select few number of decks like CO, honestly, I think gives Call Forth to Blood Summon, and that's crazy, and gives Transfuse to Divine decks, which I also think is a crazy event.
Yeah.
But we're about to see more stuff go into every other deck as the year goes on. And so maybe I should take a hot sec before I go totally on to Blood Summon is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the beginning of a wave, it'll be interesting to see what happens by the end of the next wave. Like, even testers don't even know what certain decks are going to do. So, yeah. But, and also it takes time to, like, develop things. Because, like, I mean, Cave Goblins were done in terms of the amount of things that came out by Wayfarers and Shadow Elves. But I don't think people had really figured out how good they were until Aaron just kept playing it in open queue, telling everybody this is the best deck, and no one believed him, So
yeah,
and he still did pretty well this tournament so far. I think he went 7-1 first round, only losing to Ben. So
far from out. And Ben's game was just silly, so really shouldn't even count. They should take away that win.
I'm glad Ben's able to play these games and he isn't having to forfeit them.
Yeah, if I time out less than 4 games, that's a win.
But I haven't looked at the bracket. I should win as long as Shampoo gets like 6 wins, or if someone beats Massimo, then I should move on, even though I have 5-3. So we'll see. Yeah, but like I think Snalg, you're at the top of your group or one of the top 2, right?
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, I just play. I just forget about it. Like I know a lot of you are looking at like what other people are playing. I just it's my turn. I just play the game and I just put down the app. Like I didn't even like it just happens for all the tournaments. I just keep on playing and then I advance, or sometimes I didn't advance. So and then I play a turn without even realizing it's a tournament game. I just okay. Wait, it's a tournament game. Yeah, so you see, I'm just very, very
could never be me. I'm pulling up the tournament bracket like once a day, my guy.
Well, that's what I thought was funny too, because I happened to look at the, I check my rank sometimes, or almost every day. But today I was like, oh, I'm number 1 again. What happened? I was like, oh, Snalg fell. Wait, Snalg's number 2. That's cool. We're 1 and 2 right before this scuffle.
Oh, that is sweet.
And we're like 1 ELO apart, like literally 1.
Oh, really? Yeah, but I think there's a lot of like good players as well. They probably just don't like play in open queue as much. So I think eventually.
Yeah, I think by the end of the tournament, we'll see more people up there and pushing us out, like Ben and others.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah,
We're coming for you.
what are you now, like 5th or something?
6th. This is
yeah.
this is my first time checking it.
I see.
And it's a shame that so many top
point.
players don't want to touch deck building.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what. I think they're just. I don't know. I don't know what I want to say here, but I think they like having more control over what's going on, and they don't like going into something that they're not as comfortable with. And I don't know. I think sometimes you just gotta let go and have fun with it. But I like to see there's a decent number of the Polish players in the tournament this time, like Berdulf and some others. So
You're close, Jexit. What they really want is they want to net deck whatever wins. So they want to play what's best.
but nobody knows what's best. That's the problem.
Exactly. It's a beautiful place to be in. I think so few games get such a cool competitive scene in general.
Yeah.
Why am I having trouble finding where it says? Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
No.
Oh, I'm just trying to find the competitive play thing. I'm just like struggling with the UI right now while we talk.
Be like that. Maybe that's a good. It's sort of a. It's sort of a tough topic, but maybe a good one to finish out on. It's like what would get more people into deck building, or what sort of resistances will people have? Like, I feel like there's a lot of times I'll just like see random messages in the Discord from people that it seems like they just started deck building and they lost a game against the deck, and they're just like very upset about how ridiculous it seemed that this random thing came out of nowhere. And that's like understandable. Like just just like what you were saying, that a lot of players, like you want to feel like you're in control and it's approachable, and like is the answer there? Like you just need to play a lot of the game and then you just get more comfortable with what sort of things you anticipate in your opponent's deck, or do you kind of just need to let go and have fun? Like what?
I would say let go and have fun, and then you kind of learn it. Or just like, I think now that you can see what people are playing if you're on PC helps. Because I know Shampoo didn't like deck building until he played in the last tournament, and he could scout all the decks. So he's just like tryharding and looking at all the decks and trying to figure out how to beat them, or thinking about how the matchup would play out. So I think that helps, but to be honest, like I just kind of glanced at Snalg's decks tonight, and in general, I don't look unless it's the tournament games, and even then, like I looked at it once and then just kind of played them out, tried to get a rough idea of what things were. I'm not gonna but I don't do that in the base deck either. I don't sit there and like look at the game log and try to figure out how many misses I had and what cards could be left in the deck. I just kind of play it, which is why I'm not in League 1 or Division 1, I guess, but because I don't take any of the games that seriously, but
I think similarly. Yeah, I'm the same. I just don't get very seriously, but I think it's kind of a different mentality thing. Like because for deck build, it's just much harder to become perfect at it because there are just so many options compared to build. And I think that's why, like for competitive players, they will feel that if I need to ace it, it's much harder, and there's so much more work to do. So I think that's my guess. Like once maybe you're familiar with the meta, and then a new faction drops, and you familiarize yourself again. I think for deck building, that's harder to do.
But
so if you want to become super competitive, still it is.
But I think potentially the nice thing about deck building is that you don't need to. It's not like the league where you're forced to play decks you don't want to play, and you have to try it, be good at everything. You can just pick one deck and stay in your lane and learn that deck. Like Ben's having a lot of fun right now, basically just playing his Blood Summon Rhinos deck. You know, he does.
Yeah, I agree.
You know-
But I think the thing is, like, when you need to be competitive, you also need to know what your opponent like what the meta is. Like, is this the best deck? So I agree. Like, if you're just having fun, I think it's totally approachable. But if you want to like be the top deck, then like maybe you could. I think Water says something like that. You need to know which is the best action and then work on it, because working on it. So it's difficult. Yeah.
If any of these top players are listening, it's the Blood Summon Rhinos deck. Play that.
I think it's the Shadow Elves deck. I keep saying it. I haven't played it, so
and that's
I don't
the
know,
other
but-
part of this is that I think that, especially like back when Parapet and Scavenger was the thing, I thought those were the best decks. Right now, it's probably some formation of Blood Summon and Call Forth is really the best deck you can do, and you can do it with like 3 or 4 different flavors that you choose, and you just pick the one you like. You know.
We're all gonna say this, and then the final is gonna be between Prophet and Shampoo or something.
I mean, I think the second best thing right now is probably like these divine decks that have transfuse. I mean, like when I was looking at the things before, I was thinking it's probably gonna be like, my guess, I'm calling it, might be wrong. I think it's gonna be Ben versus Prophet in the final. I don't know who's gonna win, but that's my guess. If you guys
That's
are in
my
different,
vibe too.
if you guys are in different groups, but if you're in the same group, it can't happen. So we'll see. But I mean, like you were saying, Chibata's got a really good deck too. I haven't watched his games, but that's pretty cool. I don't think Mount and Vargath right now are strong enough to do it. Like they're very good, fair base. Like they would beat like every base
They're
deck.
so
out there.
fair.
But
It hurts me that a 6/4 for 2 is fair, but like I don't think Border Archer alone does it, and that drives me insane.
So like my deck doesn't even play Makendaru because I'm like, I already have 4 Border Archers, and Makendaru can't be entangled with something. So it's like, okay. So then my champions are like Varn, Tess, and Guilford, just to offer
Varn
myself
is so good.
to give myself all the utility, you know, with those 3 champs. But I don't know. It's been working all right. I was in like the death pool with like Prophet and Shampoo and Massimo and Purse Warden and the guy who designed the app. So like, I don't know. I'll take 5 and 3.
Yeah.
Because I realized I was like 4 out of our first 5 podcast guests were in that group.
Funny.
Plus me and Purse Warden. So I was like, what is this?
Yeah, good stuff. Well, with that, I guess that's a good plug for the podcast too. You guys, I think you released an episode this Thursday. I haven't gotten around
Yeah, we
to it
did.
yet.
We just did one Thursday. It was with Prophet talking about High Elves and base, and also his last base deck tournament. So those of you who don't want to deck build and want to think about base decks and what's coming up with the next tournament, give it a listen.
High elves are wacky right now. Like, I'm confused. I don't think I've ever been this confused. Like, I just need to play 50 games of high elves. Like, I keep losing, and when I play
Same.
as them, I lose. Like, I'm confused. So that sounds helpful. But
Yeah.
anything? Go ahead.
No, he gives good advice with the High Elves. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Any other comments or thoughts before we wrap things up here?
I think just the general thing that we were saying, just like it's okay to just play to have fun and not worry about, I don't know, like when something weird happens, don't just say like, oh, that's broken, I don't want to play that, because like I'm reading people's things and like, oh, and then this happened and that's broken, I don't want to play it. I was like, I don't get your last sentence. That just sounds like fun. You know, like
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I think live games can help out too. Like just playing with a friend live, and like you both take decks, like the Sunderved deck and some other deck that's fun. Like it doesn't need to be the most broken thing ever. I think that's I enjoy that. That helps me, like just not doing everything in the base queue. And I think also you and me, Jexik, have played some limited deck building games where you can only swap out all of the copies of one event, one common, one champion.
and one jam. Yeah,
And
the Adamant 3 run proposed that. I think it's a good thing. I also want to try out these things that from like Bob FTL's like
Yeah, the draft. Yeah.
the
Oh
draft.
my goodness.
Looks
I
so
made a few of
cool.
those decks. I played once against allies because the allies tagged me. He's like, Jexik, look at this. I was like, okay. And then I sent I sent like 4 people messages, but me and allies played, and it was fun.
I want to message about that. I'm gonna go off at the end, but like I wanna like set up a live group like next Sunday or something. Like I just want like a bunch of people in a call, just everyone's made a deck and we just play each other for 4 hours or something. I think that would
I
be
think it's a cool
awesome.
idea. Unfortunately, my schedule is really erratic. I'd be
Yeah.
best on like a Thursday, but no one else will be. So yeah.
Yeah.
But if that's happening at a time I could join, I definitely would. They did that a while ago. What didn't I forgot who won? Was it Orange Lazarus or somebody? Like they did a tournament that was all like a bunch of games in one day, all live.
Oh, interesting. I
But
don't think I
this was
there
like
for it.
Oh yeah,
this was way back in like the Cloaks
my
days. It was a
only
while ago.
tournament win.
Oh, you won?
Yeah, OL and I played Phoenix Elves versus Tundra Orcs in like the final of the. It wasn't Orange's tournament. It was someone's blitz.
Yeah. I forgot who did it, but because I couldn't make it because I was back when I was working at the post office and had 0 time. But yeah.
Oh no! The worst part is because of the game cap, I don't even have that link anymore.
Didn't happen.
But wait, there might be a Google spreadsheet.
Surely the link is like deleted or something.
It's
like,
probably not because like we were talking to Joe on the podcast and the games exist. He just has to program like pagination. He said, and maybe do it like 500 games per page. Because we found out that like I had like 2.5K games a month ago. But we were like, who has the most? And he wouldn't tell us. But I think Snalg, you might be one of the top people, Snalg.
Really? Okay. I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
We guessed you, and he's like, I'm not saying anything.
Maybe Watered. I think Watered probably played a lot more.
I thought Water did a lot too, but he didn't play as much early on. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay. Yeah.
because you've consistently played a lot, whereas Water played a lot after the what's it called?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But I don't know. Either way, game is fun, and it's okay to just jam some games sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just have fun.
But yeah, if anybody I have like 5 drafted decks, so this is an open invitation. If you want to play one, just send me a message.
Yeah, and this is the new tool, if we didn't explain, on that someone just created, that you can like draft a deck, sort of like the Hearthstone like arena mode, where like you don't really have full control in your deck builds. You have to draft them as they come. So like I'm just excited to play around with that.
Yeah. So you start off by like picking out of one out of 3 summoners, and that kind of determines what you can get. And it just gives you random stuff from the symbols that are possible, and you pick one out of the 3, and like so you kind of progressively try to build a deck that makes sense.
Yeah.
And in the deck I made, I was like, "Ooh, Oathsworn. Should I go for it with Mountain Vargath? Sure, maybe I'll pull Devura." And then I did pull Devura, and the deck is pretty good.
It'd be so funny to just I'm sorry, I know we'd add, but like just to pull a carrier and be like, all right, this is trash, but like I gotta believe that I'm gonna get like 3 more carriers.
Oh yeah. I have a fungal dwarf deck with like lots of fungal carriers or undead carriers, and like, but yeah, I should stop making them. But I saved everyone that I made, so I have like 5. So
yeah. Well, we should go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you guys. No. This has been so much fun. It's just fun to talk about deck building. Not so much about base usually.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm glad timing worked out that Snalg and I could play again. And
yeah, I just want to add, I'm very excited to play with Jexik. Like, when I first started in Summoner Wars 1, I was like, Jexik was my idol. Like I read his 1 minute reviews of each deck, and that's how I learned to play. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, thanks again for coming on. It was a ton of fun, and I'll see you guys around.
Yeah, see you.
Yeah, see you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.